Do you ever have one of those just cursed gameplay sessions when it seems like everything that possibly could go wrong does go wrong? Has that ever happened to you? Well, it certainly happened to me. And it all started the moment I took off. Yup. Sometimes, there's a lot of great things in Star Citizen, but sometimes morons. Morons everywhere. So what I was actually doing is I had just logged in to the game and I was about to head off on a trade run to make, a few extra credits. Luckily, I had nothing loaded in my ship when that happened. So no real big loss there, but it got me thinking, if you keep doing trade runs, you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, you get bored with it. It grinds you down. So I figured, why not have some fun with this situation? These are the cards that were dealt. Why not try to have some fun with it? The Caterpillar, not exactly the heavily armored transport after all. Drake's ships are paper thin. We know that, right? So I figured since this ship is now going to be on cooldown for, I think we're going to see it here in a minute. It's like 37 minutes or whatever. But since the ship is not going to be available to us, why not think about something that would be a lot more difficult to ram? Usually when people try to ram you, they do it with a fighter, and it's something quick and disposable, so they can go, they die, they get back, they get into another ship, and then they do it again to somebody else. But what if the ship was too big for that? What if the ship was in fact so massive that ramming into it with a fighter would simply mean you're committing suicide, and the ship is going to continue, and the big ship is going to continue on just fine without you? Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a fairly solid plan. Now, this doesn't have the 576 question mark. Correct me in the comments below. Cargo units of the Caterpillar. This has 180 cargo units. So it's not exactly a ship that you're going to make a lot of money on trading in volume. But you can trade in value and make money that way. So, there's pluses and there's minuses. Obviously, you can't land and recall a reclaimer everywhere that you want in the universe. It is a very big ship. Sometimes the elevators don't work, or other parts of the ship that we'll get into in a moment. But one of the other drawbacks is the reclaimer, of course, is a big ship. It's a big boy. And as such, especially in a gravity well, it doesn't move all that quickly. Now, generally, day in and day out, that's not that big of a problem. But what if the situation were to suddenly change and you were faced with a new challenge and you needed to possibly, for your own safety, get out of there real quick? The reclaimer, especially when you're in a gravity well, is not that ship either. So on the plus side, yeah, it's going to be really hard to ram the ship, but on the downside, when things start to get weird, you don't know how you're going to escape. Now, luckily, whatever this guy was doing, he was just blowing up, other freelancers that were parked on the roof of Tram and Myers. So, strangely enough, blowing these ships up, but leaving me alone. I don't know. I don't understand why, but I kind of hung out here for a little while and he wasn't shooting at me. So I was like, maybe he's waiting for me to see if I'm going to load some cargo. So maybe take a few precautions, or maybe we just have to flat out get rid of him, right? I'd like to say that no, I took the high road and I decided, no, as long as he's not bugging me, I won't bug him. But that would be a lie. Now, reminiscent of a video I did probably about 3 months ago now, when we got the reclaimer into a scrap and we basically killed a hammerhead with the reclaimer. I wanted to, since the guy was basically just sitting there hovering over the station, I figured, got good guns on the top turret. Maybe I just go sit in the turret and maybe my finger slipped onto the trigger and oops, That's, Freelancer is a pretty quick ship and a pretty maneuverable ship, but if I can get them, then I kind of solve my problem. And since I'm just taking these goods back to Grimhex anyway, I don't really have to worry about the crime stat. And if I do get crime stat, with the current game and the current game mechanics, what does that mean? It just means take the day off and come back tomorrow, crime stat cleared, and we're back in business, right? Unfortunately, one of the things that I discovered, one of the new bugs with the reclaimer, is that the turrets don't work. All the guns on the ship currently are not working. Or rather, let me be specific in case someone else finds differently. The top turret and the forward turret station that would control the left-hand side or the left side of the ship guns is not working. So that's not an option. Now, since we had both been parked here for a few minutes at this point and this person hadn't shot at me and wasn't really watching the door, I just figured, you know what, maybe they're in third person watching the door. It's possible, but might as well just grab some cheap cargo and take off. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? My ship's going to get blown up. That's already happened today, so no big deal. Not really worried about it. So, yeah, why not? Just buy some cargo and at the very least, if we get away with it, we can go and test it out and see what the limitations are at Grimhex. Are they going to have purchase limitations like they have for drugs on some of these materials? Grimhex is not a big landing zone, so maybe they can only accommodate so much in terms of cargo. I figured I still want to bring home something in terms of reward if I do, so I just picked up the titanium and decided, hell, let's go. Let's see what happens. Now, oddly enough, you'd think, okay, this is where the guy attacked you and it ended up being a running gunfight. No, it didn't. In fact, never shot at me. Let me walk in, buy cargo, load up my ship, and then just fly away after he had just killed 2 ships sitting on top of the station. I don't know. Maybe they were his and he abandoned them there. No idea. But for whatever reason, I got away scot-free with the cargo. Did that mean that my luck had turned and this game session was going to go, smooth from here on out? Unfortunately not. It seems that the servers, the game, CIG, whoever, really had it out for me. Now, after an epic number of quantum drive resets and false starts, when you go and you spool up and everything's calibrated and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, you put, you hit the B key or whatever it is on, in your keybinds, and the drive just goes like, no, and it just resets. What are you doing? Come on. After finally getting all the way back to station, I, crawled into Grimhex. There was nobody out there except for one caterpillar, which realistically was the one ship that I was kind of worried about, but I guess it was an NPC one. But I finally got into Grimhex and I requested a landing, and the landing bay cleared me, and it had just opened. It was maybe about 30 seconds that it was open, and as soon as I got close, it started to close on me. And I was, when things like this happen and you're carrying a heavy load of cargo, right, you start to get a little antsy, and all of a sudden, I'm seeing this thing close and I'm trying to get in there, and in the back of my head I'm thinking, where's that caterpillar at? And I was like, come on, man. So I'm trying to submit the request again, like, let me land my damn ship. Why is this still a thing in 2020? that this still happens. I mean, this has happened to me multiple times at multiple stations, but it all, it's one of those things where it seems to hit you at the worst possible times, right? And now it's kind of going through my head. It's like, okay, is that caterpillar actually an NPC, or is that just a player who's cleverly kind of picked up on CIG's naming convention, which is like 2 names from 2 different cultures for every pilot? It's like Sakura O'Neill, or just multicultural names, not to say it in a bad way, but that's kind of how CIG does it. It's like Brian Tamagawa or something like that. Finally, the doors opened up for me after I was frantically hitting the button, and I was able to get into the station with the cargo safe and sound. Or so I thought. As I was going to get out of the ship, I realized I hadn't done one of these things that I kind of OCD do every time I buy cargo, which is I go and I check to make sure that the cargo was there. I realized I had flown back. I hadn't looked in the cargo bay. And luckily, there it was. So I was like, okay, good. Now let's get into the station and let's sell it. I figured I was safe. I figured at that point, the doors are closed, the ship is landed, I'm safe, I'm good. But it seems like CIG had one more curveball to throw my way. And that's kind of one of the things that you kind of have to watch out for, right? When you start feeling like, oh, okay, I'm good, I'm safe, everything's fine, that's usually when, something comes out of left field and nails you. And none of the warning signs were immediately present. And I didn't really notice that notice up at the top that said local channel disbanded. I went, I was just like, oh man, look at my great ship. I got it. I made it. Let's see what money I'm going to get. Maybe it's only 20,000 credits. Who cares? I was really, really happy. And then I was really, really disappointed. So I panicked, trying to get back into the game. Like, oh my God, tell me the server at least kept my ship and my cargo there. Please. I don't, like, after all of that, after getting past all of these challenges and overcoming all these hurdles, please don't tell me at the very end you deed me. Don't tell me that. And so I'm getting in here and, oh, there it is, and there's the cargo. It's like, thank God. Whew. Or maybe only 10,000 credits, but still, And I kind of left with the idea, this maybe is something worth exploring, There are certain limitations that the Caterpillar, the Reclaimer has, but man, it's got a hell of a lot of shield capacity and it's a difficult ship to ram. So maybe this is something worth exploring. If we can't salvage, maybe we can use it another way.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.